Hey everyone, this is Randy from BibleBuyingGuide.com. Today I'm taking a look at the NASB Wide-Margin Bible from Zondervan in brown Leathersoft. And there is the information. The USD manufacturer suggested retail price is $74.99. This is printed in South Korea. So we have the full text of the NASB 95 text, 1.4 inch outside margins and 1.5 inch inside margins for note taking. Two color page designs, as we can see here, we got red and black. Double column format, Words of Christ in red. 36 GSM paper. Now this is not the same paper as you would see in the Premier collection. It's similar, but not the same. Two satin ribbon markers, and these are the 1/4 inch markers. A brown and a gold. Those are really pretty. They are double-sided. And then the Comfort Print NASB typeface designed by 2K Denmark, and then 9.5 print size. And I'd say that's accurate. So let's take a look. So there is the brown. It looks nice. I like the look of that. It has a realistic grain that looks like calfskin. No raised hubs. The overall size, in case you need to put this in a case, is 6 7/8 by 9 5/8 by 1 1/2. That's a good size. And it weighs 2 pounds, 9.6 ounces. So this is a good overall size. Doesn't feel like a large Bible. And considering the amount of space it has for notes and how large the text is, that actually is pretty good. So here's why the paper is not exactly the same as the Premier collection. It's got some little crinkles in there, and it's a white colored paper rather than the off-white color. Overall, I think the cover is easy to hold. It's a little floppy, but not too bad. It does stay open easy enough. Although, if you wanted it to be floppy, you can. It'll flop down there on you, but you can hold it open fairly easy. I don't think I would want to hold it open with one hand, but I think you can. So the paper liner doubles as the presentation page. That is a thick paper. And then the same liner in the front and back. So it'll take a little while for that to break in well enough to stay open. It does have overcast stitching. There's that overcast stitch line all the way down in that first signature. That might be difficult to see on camera, but it is there. 36 GSM paper, white in color. It is opaque. Not too difficult to turn, although it just depends on the weather here in East Tennessee. Sometimes paper can stick together and then other times not. So there's the information printed in South Korea. And this does include the reduced set of footnotes from the 95 NASB. So double column, about 6 to 7 words per line. Paragraphs are marked with a red verse number. All verses are indented, so they stand out like their own paragraphs. And here is the red section headings. Lots of space between the lines, so if you underline, you'll have space for that here. And here's how it stays open in Genesis 1. Not too bad. I can use that if I needed to. And if I bent that over a little bit, it would stay down, no problem at all. So it stays open, no trouble. Then we have the poetic format. And then it has lists. For example, if we look at Ezra, there's a list in Ezra. It does not indent letters. There's the poetry. The show through is mostly noticeable where you write notes or where poetry doesn't go all the way to the end of the line or something along that line so that you can see through. Where there is no poetry, it doesn't have a lot of show through. It looks really good. The text behind this text doesn't make this text too dark to see. It still looks good. Then here is the red letter. Red is about a medium to dark red. I like this red. This looks good. And then as you can see, New Testament has the Old Testament quotes in all caps. So all of the standard 1995 NASB formatting is here. Here's where I wrote a note. I used a Pigma Micron 01 in purple. So there's my really bad handwriting. And there's a little crinkle on the paper there. And here's how it looks on the other side of the page. There's the show through. And then we go straight from the text to a dictionary concordance thesaurus. This is the Lockman concordance that's used in all the NASBs, and even the Thompson Chain reference uses this one. A few things about this that I like a lot. It does have names, which I prefer. I like it when they have names in there. It does have a little bit of information. And then it's pretty good for study. See how many we have for God. I like to use that one as an example. So here's how many we have for God, starting here all the way down. And then we have false deity. And then we have goddess, godless, godliness, godly. So there's quite a bit in there for study. It's a very useful concordance. And what makes it a dictionary also is that it gives information. So it's not just the words, it gives a little bit of information. Not a lot, but a little bit in there. Making it a little bit better for study. And that is it. No maps in this one. That's the end of it. So let's compare to the Thompson Chain reference, and I'll show you why we're comparing it. First, here's how the Thompson looks compared to it. This is the Premier Collection. There's two reasons I'm comparing the Premier Collection. The first one is that it also has 36 GSM paper. And since they both have 36 GSM paper, we can compare paper to paper. The thickness is going to be different because the wide margin doesn't have information in it. It doesn't have any tools or anything like that. The second reason I'm comparing the Premier Collection is that's the only one I have. So here is the Thompson. And I'll show you exactly why I'm comparing the Thompson. So let's go to the same page. And there we go in the wide margin. They are the same. Same but different. And I'll explain that. So what they've done is they've taken the Thompson Chain reference page layout. They're identical. Everything about them is the same in the text. There's no difference. What they've done is they've removed the margin material. So if you take the margin material out of the Thompson, you've got a wide margin Bible. And that's what they've done. So nothing in the text needs to change. It's exactly the same. What they've done differently is they have started the wide margin on a different page than they did with the Thompson. So they're off by one page. And I'll show you that in the front. Thompson has the book introductions and all the study material and all that. And the wide margin doesn't have any of that, so they're able to start them on a different page. So Thompson starts on the left side, wide margin starts on the right side. Other than that, the layout is the same. So page for page, the page numbers are different, but the pages themselves are the same, except for being on the opposite page, if that makes sense. Now, here we can also compare the paper. So we see that the amount of show through is about the same. And we can also, I don't know if this comes across on the camera or not, but the Thompson has a little bit of an off-white color, while the wide margin is more of a pure white color. I actually prefer the paper in the Thompson, but comparing them side by side, the wide margin actually looks more opaque than the Thompson does. I don't know if that's coming through on camera or not. Let me zoom in and let you see. Don't know if that comes across, but there are some places where it looks a little more opaque in the wide margin. Let's see if I can get to the same book. So there's 1 Kings in both, and you can see the amount of show through that we have. Now, it's going to be different on the back side of this page because we don't have this material there. So let's go to a different page. Let's look at chapter 8. So here's chapter 8 in both. To my eye, the white paper of the wide margin looks to be more opaque than the off-white paper in the Thompson. And I can specifically see it right in here. So I'm more drawn to the color of the Thompson, but I'm more drawn to the opacity of the wide margin. But there's nothing else similar. The wide margin doesn't have any other tools except for the concordance. Concordance is the same. I'll show you that one. All this material back here, the book introductions, all these indexes, the alphabetical index, the numerical index, all these charts and graphs and things, none of that is in the wide margin. That's only in the Thompson. So here's a side-by-side look at the dictionary, concordance, thesaurus in both. They are the same. So that is my quick look at the NASB wide margin using the Thompson Chain reference pages. I like the design. I like the amount of space that you have. The page crinkles are a little bit annoying. I wish that was fixed. It might be too floppy for some because this one is floppy. That might be a little bit more difficult to hold open than some Bibles. I find the paper to be opaque enough. I like the opacity of it. I do like white paper. I don't mind that at all. I do personally prefer a little bit of a cream color, but slightly, just a little. Not much, just a little. I like the red letter. I do wish that it had the full set of footnotes. These are still good footnotes, but I do prefer the full set. I do like that it has paragraph markers. I would like to have maps in the back. I know a lot of people don't use them, but I do. I probably use maps more than I use the concordance, to be honest. Because when I'm teaching, I will tell everyone to turn to your maps and let's trace something and figure out where someone went or something like that. I just find it to be a good teaching tool. But not every Bible needs them. You don't have to have it in every single Bible. But I do find it helpful. I like the size. It doesn't feel like a large Bible, but at the same time, that feels like a large enough print for me. 9.5 point. It looks a lot like a 10 point. I would have called that a 10 point if I didn't know any better. So if you're looking for a wide margin in the NASB, in the 95 NASB, this is a good choice. I like this one. I don't have wide margins from other publishers in the NASB, but I do have New King James and a King James that I can possibly compare to. If I do any comparisons, that will be in a separate video. So Zondervan did supply this in exchange for an honest review, and that is my honest review. If you have any questions, let me know. You can see the written review at BibleBuyingGuide.com, where I'll always go into more detail. And then I'll place links in the notes so that you can make a purchase if you're interested. And thanks for watching.